Okay, so let's unpack this. We're taking a deep dive today into something that's, well, it's touching almost everyone's life now. AI chatbots and their impact on our social connections.
Yeah, how we interact, it's changing fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our source for this is a really interesting conversation from the Piyush Gupta Show podcast. You basically ask, are these chatbots a blessing or a burden for our social lives?
A fundamental question, really.
It is. So our mission here is to pull out the key ideas from that source, figure out what these digital companions actually mean for how we connect with others, and maybe even with ourselves.
And it's fascinating just how quickly these tools went from basic help bots to something feeling much closer to, well, simulated companionship.
Right. Understanding that shift is, I think, pretty crucial here.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the basics, like this source lays out. What are we talking about when we say AI chatbots in this context?
Well, they're essentially computer programs, right? Designed to mimic human conversation using AI.
Like the ones you might chat with online for customer support, or maybe people experimenting with things like ChatGPT.
Exactly. But the key difference now, unlike older bots, is these newer ones learn from just vast amounts of text. So they can generate dialogue that feels surprisingly human.
Human-like, yeah.
They can chat, help with problems, and crucially, as the source points out, they seem capable of offering a kind of emotional support.
And it's that emotional support bit that really makes the social impact so, well, so significant, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Which brings us to the potential upside, the blessing side of things. Who really benefits here?
Well, the source highlights specific situations, for people feeling really lonely or maybe struggling with social anxiety. For them, it can be a genuine lifeline.
Can you give us some examples the source mentioned? Like who specifically?
Sure. One really strong example is, say, an elderly person living alone. Maybe they don't have much human interaction day to day.
Right.
A chatbot, something like Replica maybe, can offer a sense of presence, ask about their day, give reminders. It sort of fills a gap when real connection is scarce, almost like a digital friend.
Wow, that's quite a role. And it's not just for older people, is it?
No, not at all. Think about students needing help with coursework.
Oh,
They can talk to an educational bot anytime, 24/7, ask questions they might feel embarrassed to ask a real person, get instant, non-judgmental help.
that non-judgmental part seems key. Always available, always patient.
And then there's a wider use in business, of course, handling customer queries instantly.
Freeing up human agents for trickier stuff.
Exactly. So you see this pattern of increased access both to information and basic support.
So clear potential then,
Mhm.
reducing loneliness, providing help. And the source mentions offering some mental well-being support, but it adds that little phrase, to an extent.
A very important qualifier, because that naturally leads us to the other side, the burden side, the real worries.
And this is where it gets, yeah, really interesting and maybe a bit concerning. The first big one mentioned is emotional dependency.
Yes, because they're always there, right?
Yeah.
Always available, usually programmed to be agreeable, supportive.
Doesn't argue back much.
Exactly. So the source warns that people can form, quite strong emotional attachments. And this easy, low-effort interaction might actually make people pull back from, well, the messiness and effort of real relationships.
Leading to more isolation, ironically.
Which intentionally, yes, that's the risk.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
If you get constant, easy validation, why deal with complex human emotions?
Yeah.
And that ties straight into the empathy issue.
Right. This is crucial. AI can simulate empathy. It learns the right words, the right phrases from all that data.
I understand how you feel, that kind of thing.
Precisely. But it doesn't feel. It doesn't have true understanding. The source mentions samvedna, that deep, resonant sensitivity. That's uniquely human. An algorithm just can't replicate genuine feeling.
You can say the words, but there's no soul behind it, as the source puts it.
Exactly. Just code.
And this lack of real interaction, it seems, could lead to another problem. Are social skills actually getting worse?
Well, think about it. If your main interactions are with bots, you're not practicing those subtle, real-world skills.
Like reading body language or tone of voice.
Or navigating awkward silences, or dealing with disagreement constructively, or experiencing that give and take of real empathy. Those skills need practice with actual humans. They can weaken without it.
Makes sense. Use it or lose it, essentially. And beyond the psychological stuff, there are practical risks, too. Privacy is a big one.
Oh, absolutely. Every single conversation, especially the personal ones you might have thinking it's a private space, it's data.
Data that's stored somewhere.
Exactly. And the source flags this vulnerability. Your intimate thoughts, your feelings, could that data be accessed, misused by companies, developers? Who knows?
That's quite a chilling thought, isn't it? Especially if people are treating these bots like digital confidants.
Very chilling. And linked to that is the final danger they raise, fostering a kind of false sense of reality or connection.
Because the responses are getting so good.
Incredibly good. Sophisticated. So for some people, maybe younger users or people feeling vulnerable, it can genuinely become hard to tell the difference between a realistic bot script and a real human response.
Blurring the lines.
Yeah. Leading to this kind of deluded belief that the algorithm's output is real connection.
The source makes this really clear with a comparison, doesn't it?
It does. A simple but powerful one.
Like, imagine you're feeling down. You talk to a close friend. They listen, they get the emotion, maybe give you a hug, share a story from their own life.
Real resonance, real support. Now, contrast that with telling a chatbot the same thing.
It might say something perfect like, I'm sorry to hear that. Everything will be okay. You're not alone.
Words that sound comforting.
But as the source stresses, it's mechanical. There's no shared history, no genuine feeling, no soul there. It's a simulation.
Not a real connection. A fundamental difference.
So, okay. Given all this, the good and the bad, what's the takeaway? The source doesn't suggest just ditching AI chatbots entirely, does it?
No, not at all. That wouldn't be realistic or even helpful. The message is really about perspective. AI is a tool.
A powerful tool.
Immensely powerful. And like any tool, the key is using it wisely, mindfully, keeping it in balance with, what really matters.
So chatbots can be supportive. They have their uses.
Absolutely. Valuable support. But the source is crystal clear on this. They can never truly replace the depth, the understanding, the unique connection you only get from human relationships.
And the advice seems pretty straightforward then.
Very practical, basically. Prioritize people. Talk to your friends. Spend time with your family. Use the bots for what they're good at, specific tasks. Quick info, maybe some supplementary support.
But recognize their limits. Use them for help, maybe, but not for feeling, not as your main source of connection.
Exactly. Understand what each offers. They serve different purposes.
Okay, so summing up from the source, AI chatbots are these complex tools. They simulate conversation, offer support, maybe ease loneliness, provide access. That's the potential upside.
But balanced against significant risks, dependency, losing social skills, major privacy concerns, and that blurring of what's real versus simulation.
And that core difference remains.
Yeah.
The algorithm's mechanical comfort versus real human empathy and soul.
The ultimate message isn't really fear, though. It's more about prudence, being smart about how we use this tech.
Knowing its place. Valuable for certain things, but no substitute for genuine human bonds.
Precisely.
Which really leaves us, and you listening, with something to think about, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If these bots are tools for help, not healing, and human connection is irreplaceable, how are you actually navigating this in your own life?
Where is technology genuinely supporting you?
Where do you need to actively make sure you're nurturing those human bonds, the ones that offer that real understanding, that soul? As this tech keeps evolving, how do we, keep things real, keep things human?